people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. Michaela Mayer says she's still targeting Lauren Price and blames Boxer for the breakdown in what was their negotiations. WBO welterweight champion Mayer had been hoping to secure a long-awaited showdown with the Ring Magazine queen Price, who currently holds the WBA, IBF, and WBC titles too. However, when those negotiations broke down after months of talks, Mayer decided to face a different Brit in Chantel Cameron. The pair are set to fight in a unification for Cameron's WBO junior middleweight title and Mayer's WBA and WBC straps on an MVP card in Birmingham on August 29th. For those who might be confused, Michaela holds titles in two divisions at the same time, two at 154 and one at 147. The winner will be just one fight away from becoming the undisputed junior middleweight champion, with O'Shea Jones, the current IBF champion. But when asked whether that would be her primary target, Mayer said her ambitions still lie at welter. I think the bigger fight is undisputed at 147 against Lauren Price, the 35-year-old told Ring Magazine. O'Shea Jones has the other belt at 154, and besides that, we're good friends. I don't know if that fight would happen next. So determined to maintain her position at welter, Mayer even agreed for this clash with Cameron to take place at a contracted catch weight of 148. After this, I'm going to have to go back down to 147 to defend that belt. Via the WBO's ranked standings, the current number one contender at 147 pounds is France's own Emily Sonvico, the little-known French woman sporting a professional record of 9 wins with no losses and no draws, 2 recorded knockouts, 37 years old. The fight between her and Michaela Mayer has not yet been ordered by the WBO, but because she's currently ranked at number 1, it's conceivable that she is who they will elect as Michaela Mayer's mandatory challenger, and it is a fight that I heavily favor her to win. Though before it becomes about Emily, it's about Chantel and whether or not Michaela Mayer can make it past her. Though before we got to this point, it was about Undisputed and it was about Lauren Price. Both Mayer and Price insist they want to fight each other, but so far, the two sides have not reached an agreement. The American says that terms were agreed for a fight to take place last year, only for Price to change her demands late in negotiations. When asked exactly what is to blame for the breakdown in communication, Mayer said the blame squarely lies with Price's promoter. I think it's a Boxer thing, she says. We had the fight set for July of last year. It was going to be the last fight they had on Sky Sports, the last fight Top Rank had on ESPN. It was like the last chance to get it done. We agreed on the number and purse. We agreed on the location. It was supposed to be here in Vegas. Then all of a sudden, they call back and they say, oh no, Lauren Price wants more money. She wants this and she wants that. She's not into it. I think that Ben Shalom or whoever's negotiating this stuff for her isn't keeping her in the loop. You don't come to a whole agreement on a fight without going back to the fighter and asking how they feel about it. I think they negotiated an entire deal, and then when they took it back to her, she was like, no. That's just irresponsible and shows a lack of communication on their side. It kind of screwed us over because we lost the TV slot for that, and then they tried to get me to go over to Cardiff for $200,000, but I'm not fighting for Undisputed for 200 large. You're tripping. I don't know what you're getting paid, but that's absolutely not freaking happening.
No, that's what I said. If what Boxer wants is to get Michaela Mayer back over to the UK, they have to pay to play because she's not going to fight for cheap.
That being said, I think it's still possible. I don't know. Maybe I need to have a talk with Lauren Price, face to face, because I don't know what she's being told. As one of the stars of women's boxing, Mayer says she has now entered her cash-out era. So after more than 100 amateur bouts and nearly 9 years as a pro, how long does she have left in the game? Well, I just signed a 6-fight deal with MVP, so I plan to finish that, and then that's it. she says. That's why I want to get the biggest fights possible. So I got the Chantel Cameron fight, then, if I can get Lauren Price, and then, who knows? Maybe I can get Clarissa Shields. That would be 3, and then I could get O'Shea Jones for Undisputed at junior middle. Shoot, maybe I'll be done in 4.
So Michaela Mayer in her mid-30s is already charting her course out of the sport of boxing, her exit strategy, and the fights that she's got lined up. First Chantel Cameron, then the French woman, then maybe Lauren if they can get her, puts significant distance between herself and a fight with Clarissa that I've maintained I don't think is going to happen because I just don't think there's enough in it for Michaela, who's in her cash-out era,
and who means to finish out her career as an MVP fighter.
As it pertains to Lauren Price and what happened, Michaela sort of gave it away. Top Rank was at the end of their ESPN deal, Boxer was at the end of their Sky Sports deal, and at that point, at least for Boxer, it would have been less than ideal to put their prized stallion, their unbeaten unified welterweight champion, in a fight that she might lose, not while they were still in the market for a new broadcaster.
But you see that, now that Boxer has landed on DAZN, Lauren is supposed to be moving up in weight to fight Clarissa Shields in what is an even more dangerous fight. Michaela says that she's in her cash-out era. In some ways, I think that Lauren Price is too, because why would you concede that much weight to Clarissa Shields?
You cashing out?
Comparatively, the Mayer fight at welterweight is a lot more winnable than the Shields fight at middle.
You cashing out?
In truth, I think they both beat her. I think Clarissa Shields beats Lauren Price at 160, but I also think Michaela beats her at 147.
We'll see who ends up getting to Lauren first. For now, Michaela has Chantel Cameron to contend with, and I actually have her winning that fight. I think she beats her too. Then the French woman after that?
At 147. Then, we'll see what happens in the new year.
Chant, yo, who you want, man?
I want Fundora. Bring on that tall, what is it, tall tower, whatever.
Tall Inferno.
We're gonna chop him down easy.
So there y'all have it, man. This is the exclusive video from Pedro. The first time this young man has said who he want. And he putting it on the record and Pedro bringing it to you. He want the Tower Inferno.
Yeah.
We can't get him.
Fundora.
We're going Josh next.
See, now we getting the inside school. We calling motherfuckers out. So I don't want to hear no more shit from nobody. He's putting it on the record. And it's going to be shown.
And not only that,
on the
he's
podcast.
coming back when he could afford Boots. They had a game plan. That's why they didn't want to fight Boots at that time.
Yo,
Now
so
they
my
gotta-
producer and my lady was sitting at the whole time. She
Yeah.
thought it was a smoke screen. I'm like, wow.
All that shit was fake. They act like they was going through some shit. Him and Delaware and all that. All that shit was fake, man.
It's fake. There you have it, baby.
Tell 'em I
It's
said.
going to fuck
Oh,
down
we
once
beat
again.
Josh. We beat
2
Josh.
times.
Right.
It's just starting. We're going up to 160 and 68.
Yes.
So Jaron Ennis has officially called out Sebastian Fundora for a fight, but by now everybody knows that Sebastian is hiding behind the World Boxing Council and what's supposed to be a little-known mandatory from Albania, except that the mandatory hasn't been called yet. So if you wanted to fight Boots, now would be the time to petition the WBC for an exemption to the mandatory. Not that they're pressuring you to fight one.
Because they're not. Sebastian Fundora has been WBC champion for 2 years. Virgil Ortiz interim champion alongside him. And everybody thought that he was Sebastian's mandatory, not this nondescript Albanian.
What I think Samson and Team Fundora are doing is they're petitioning the WBC to qualify this Albanian as their mandatory obligation, using that as an excuse to not unify with Boots because they don't want to unify with Boots. They don't want that fight. If they did, they'd be asking for an exemption.
How the fuck are you more worried about fighting some fucking nobody than another one of the champions at your weight?
Everybody knows how this works. You can skip a mandatory if you have a unification match.
His performance was great. He did what he had to do, even though he took some punches and he got hurt a little, he still finished the fight the way a real warrior does, so gotta respect him and gotta give him credit. Against Fundora, man, I think it's tough, man. Fundora has a style that it's not gonna make you look good. I would say I favor Fundora on that one, man. It's a fight that's not gonna be easy for Boots because styles make fights, and Fundora lately since he became champion, he's getting better and better and better. There ain't nothing stopping Fundora right now. I think the only thing that could stop Fundora is a pressure fighter that's not gonna give up and he's gonna keep coming, working the body, and just kind of bullying Fundora into a fight, pressuring him into a tough fight. I think that's the style that might hurt Fundora. But Boots is, Boots could also fight smart. He's a good. He's got good footwork too. He's got good speed. So I don't think Boots is the type of brawler that's gonna push Fundora back. So I think that right there, I favor Fundora on that one. I think so. I think it's probably a mistake for them to take that fight.
I think the only reason that Robert said what he's saying is because he's hoping that Virgil can get to Sebastian before Boots, and I don't actually think he favors Sebastian to beat Boots.
I think he's hyping him up.
I think he's hyping him up because he's under the impression that his fighter will get to him before Boots, so that when his fighter beats him... Do you see what I mean? When Robert starts carrying on about a pressure fighter being able to put pressure on Sebastian and beat him from the inside out, who do you think he's talking about?
Virgil.
Because Virgil is a pressure fighter. In truth, I would favor Virgil to beat Sebastian, but I would also favor Boots to do the same thing.
I think they both beat him.
While it is true that Sebastian Fundora has been showing noticeable improvements in his last 2-3 fights.
Look at who he's been fighting.
What, Cordell Booker? We're supposed to be over the moon that he looked good with Cordell Booker, or a damaged goods Tim Tszyu in their second fight. And what, Keith Thurman in his last one?
Look at who he's been fighting.
Even if he is showing noticeable improvements and growing as a fighter, it's still against lackluster competition, to where if you put him in there with the more serious fighters at junior middle, he doesn't stay champion, and he knows it. That's why he's running. That's why he's hiding behind a mandatory that hasn't been called.
And that's what really grinds my gears about what Robert Garcia said, because he's been in this industry long enough that he knows, he can recognize when a team wants a fight and when a team doesn't want to fight. So don't hype up Sebastian Fundora and say that he beats Boots when he doesn't want to fight him.
Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. Don't tell me that you have him winning a fight that you and I both know he doesn't want to have.
You've got all sorts of pundits and former fighters, former champions right now, scrutinizing Xander Zayas because he supposedly quit.
They're giving this guy shit for showing more moxie, more fucking courage than Sebastian ever showed, because Sebastian ran from Xander.
No, go back. He originally ran from Terrence Crawford because he wanted to fight Spence instead. Then he ran from Xander when Xander was his mandatory, and now he's running from Boots.
But who do the journos want to talk about? Who do the pundits want to talk down? Xander Zayas because he supposedly quit. At least he had the courage to fight. You can't say that about Sebastian. And I don't see enough people out there putting him in the hot seat for wasting everybody's time and holding that belt hostage.
I got a lot of respect for Robert Garcia. I think he's one of the best trainers in the industry. And I don't often disagree with what he says, but what he said here, it's all part of an agenda, an ulterior motive. You're just talking up Sebastian because you think your fighter's gonna get him, and you think your fighter's gonna beat him. Meanwhile, Sebastian's fighting some nondescript Albanian.
So spare me. In the realm of agendas and ulterior motives, it would seem that Gervonta Davis has one of his own. Reacting to this past weekend's fight, he said, "You never seen me look like these other dudes. It's just a fact. I love the dick-eating y'all been doing too, but real is real. Know the difference when you're talking about me."
Who was talking about you, Gervonta?
Talking about me and them because we're nothing alike. Long live mine.
Maybe you're right, Gervonta. Maybe you ain't got a lot in common with Xander and Boots because they're fighting and you're not. You make more headlines these days for how many of your girlfriends you punch up.
You make more headlines these days for how many of your girlfriends you beat up than how many boxers in your division. No, you don't have a lot in common with either Xander or Boots because they're unified. They have been.
Where you never were. You weren't at 130, 135, 140.
And don't try to give Xander Zayas too much of a hard time for taking a knee when we all saw you take one in the Lamont Roach fight.
Get off your high horse.
You know what it is? It's that he senses that he's being replaced. It's that the same demographic that willfully put him on a pedestal in spite of all of his flaws and all of his drawbacks and his cowardice and his degeneracy are now gravitating towards someone else. And he is powerless to stop it while he's not fighting.
He senses he's becoming yesterday's news.
And it would take something big, something major, to make people start paying attention again, because what he had been doing before the hiatus would not suffice. He didn't do big numbers in the Frank Martin fight, and in spite of the headlines afterwards, after the Roach fight, they didn't sell that many pay-per-views with that either.
The mob is fickle. It always has been. And as soon as they have a shiny new toy to play with, that's what they're gonna do. They're tired of playing with you and running interference for you. It's just not interesting anymore.
Why the fuck should you care if two junior middleweights fought each other on Saturday in a unification match when you've never unified anything? And you're not trying to. You're a champion in recess, remember?
What did they used to say about Gervonta Davis? That he doesn't care about belts. He's not in it for legacy. He's in it for money.
He hasn't been making much of that. Not since the Ryan Garcia fight, where I think Gervonta Davis's career peaked.
It was a commercially successful fight. There's no denying that. It sold a little over 1 million pay-per-views. But Gervonta wasn't selling that many pay-per-views before that fight and after that fight.
He can feel it. He can feel himself getting older and fading into the background. He can see the shift.
They got a shiny new plaything.
Well, you're stuck in the mud and keep getting in trouble for the same fucking thing. He still hasn't settled that domestic abuse case, that situation. He's all tied up with that. But even if he weren't, do you think he's about to fight Shakur? Do you think he's about to fight Devin? If he were free to fight, what kind of fight do you think he'd be in? He wasn't going to run it back with Lamont Roach. We all know that. He was going to have a joke fight with Jake Paul.
Now even that ship has sailed, because Lamont Roach is fighting William Zepeda.
Devin Haney's moved all the way up to the welterweight division. Shakur Stevenson has moved up to the junior welterweight division.
He already said he's not about to fight Floyd Schofield, so I mean...
Why the fuck should you care if two junior middleweights fought on Saturday in a unification match? You ain't ever been in one of those, and you're not going to.
He senses that his star is dimming.
He's not even that old a fighter. Gervonta Davis is only in his early 30s, so theoretically he has a lot of time left to keep people interested in his career, but he can't do that and play it safe. And that's what he's done his whole boxing career, is play it safe. So, you may as well bow out now.
Showtime is out of the sport of boxing. You left Mayweather Promotions 2-3 years ago?
Floyd Mayweather ain't what he used to be. The PBC as a whole isn't what it used to be. You don't want to venture outwards.
Retire.
Bow out now. You might as well. You've never been about delivering the fans the fights they want to see. You may as well just bow out now.
Take a load off. Don't worry about Boots, and don't worry about Xander. It's got fuck all to do with you.